In today's video, we're talking about what steps you need to take financially when a loved one passes away. Coming up next. My name is Tommy Neesmith. I'm a financial planner at Christy Capital Management. We are trying to bring you good information about retirement. If you're here just for the information, I hope you get what you need. If you're needing one-on-one help and you want me to help you, please reach out to christycapital.com or click up here to talk with an advisor. Today we're talking about the steps you need to take financially when a loved one passes away. To start the list off, if you have an attorney that you work with on things, you may want to reach out to that attorney. That may be a good first step. Number two, you're going to want to contact the Social Security Administration. If your spouse or loved one has already been receiving benefits, you're going to want to let them know that they have died. Depending on your age and the age of your spouse, you may be eligible to now receive some survivor benefits. You will want to reach out to Social Security Administration to get that worked out. You'll also want to locate your spouse's will. If you've had one professionally done by an attorney, you'll need to reach out to that attorney. Next, you want to notify your spouse's employer and even contact former employers of your spouse. There may be a life insurance policy through work. There may be a pension or an old 401k that you need to notify them of so that you can take the next steps of getting those things worked out. Reaching out to the Human Resources Department of those companies would be a good thing to do. You may also want to notify your employer because the death of a spouse can be a life event that could trigger benefit decisions and changes on your part as well. If you have already retired, the death of a spouse allows you to stop paying for the survivor benefit. It may allow you to change your health care policy from family to single. Next, if your spouse served in the military, you'll want to reach out to the Veterans Administration. You can get more information by going to va.gov. Then you'll want to notify all of your insurance companies, including life, health. The sooner you start this process, the sooner you'll receive benefits if it's a life insurance policy. You'll possibly want to make adjustments to your health insurance plan with the death of your spouse. You'll also want to change all your property titles, removing your spouse's name from the ownership documents and insurance policies like your homeowner's insurance. You'll want to contact all three major credit bureaus. Request a copy of your spouse's credit report so you're aware of any open accounts or debts. Now, the three major bureaus are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You'll also want to let them know that your spouse is deceased and to not issue any credit under their name and Social Security number. If you have a tax accountant or tax preparer, you'll want to reach out to them to help file and pay any year of death taxes. You do get the married filing joint in the year of death. There may be some planning things that you want to get done with your last year of being able to file jointly. Typically, the single taxpayer bracket is not as advantageous as the married filing jointly tax bracket. Doing Roth conversions in the year of death may make sense. Next, if you have a child in college, you want to contact the financial aid office because you may now qualify for more assistance. You'll also want to reach out to the financial professional that you're using. If you're working with a financial planner like us, for instance, you would want to reach out and let us know. As we talked about, there's some tax planning things that we can take advantage of in the year of death. There's also the titling of IRA accounts and Roth accounts that needs to be handled. Make sure as you are contacting financial institutions that you understand how you can receive and take ownership of different accounts. A lot of times, if you have a joint account with rights of survivorship, then the account just becomes yours. There are some tax implications and some step up and basis advantages that you can take advantage of if your spouse passes away. Another thing to keep in mind is that if your spouse has an IRA, you have some options on how to take ownership of that if you were the 100% beneficiary. You can open up an inherited IRA, or you can roll the money into your personal IRA. If your spouse is the loved one who died, you have these two options. You also have the option of just cashing it in and sending the money to you, but that would be 100% taxable if it's a traditional IRA. Receiving the money in the correct way can help avoid unnecessary taxes. This is a good reason why working with a financial professional can help. Some of the other things you will need to do is obtain a death certificate. For the claiming of life insurance and for opening up inherited IRAs to receive the money, you'll definitely need a death certificate. You'll need to get at least 10 copies of the death certificate. You will need a death certificate to close your bank and brokerage account, file insurance claims, register the death with government agencies. The funeral home you're working with can get copies, or you can order them yourself through the Vital Statistics office in the state in which the person died. Lots of places need original copies, so you'll need to get at least 10. You may need to start the probate process. At our firm, we try to have beneficiary forms in place on all accounts that we can to avoid probate. Sometimes probate can't be avoided, and you will have to go through that process. An estate attorney can definitely help you with this process. As we were talking about this, it brings up a good point on beneficiary forms. Make sure you have them filled out correctly with the person that you want the money to go to. Make sure you have contingent beneficiary as well. If you have an investment assets that are not retirement accounts, make sure you have a transfer on death or a TOD on file. This puts a beneficiary form on an account that ordinarily does not have one. Now, for any of your accounts at the bank, like checking or savings or CDs, you'll want to make sure that you have a POD or payable on death filed with them. This allows you to name a beneficiary on an account that ordinarily does not have one. This allows you to avoid probate on those accounts. Some other things that you'll need to do is cancel their driver's license, close credit card accounts so that nothing else gets borrowed. To prevent identity theft, you may want to shut down the different email addresses your loved one had. You can also update the voter registration to make sure that they are removed from the voting rolls. So what are some of the key takeaways or action items from this video? Some of the things that you need to do when a loved one dies can be planned for and prepared for in advance, so to speak. Avoiding probate by having the right beneficiary forms on all the accounts. That could be big. Making sure that you have the properly titled paperwork in such a way that if your loved one dies, you can take ownership of it easily. I know there are different types of co-ownership, tenancy in common, joint tenancy, or community property. Making sure that you've gotten the ownership set up in advance so that if something happens to you or your loved one, it's an easy transition. That would be wise planning. Another thing is to make sure that the accounts that you have are documented where people can find them. I think of the horror stories of people having older 401ks at a job that they no longer work, and loved ones don't even know the monies are there. One of the benefits of working with a financial planning firm and having all of your accounts being handled by your planner is if something happens to you, they are aware of all your accounts and can walk either you or your loved one through the process of getting everything handled. Accounts shouldn't fall through the cracks when you're working with a financial firm. As we are meeting with new people, part of our process is doing a financial blueprint for them. If you are married, one of the scenarios you're going to go over is if one of you passes away, does the other person have enough money to make it till their 90s without running out? For your plan to have enough money in it, we need to make sure that if something happens to one of the spouses, the other one makes it. If the remaining spouse does not have enough to make it into their 90s, then you as a couple, you do not have enough. You need to know this answer now before something happens so that we can plan a winning strategy to make sure that everybody's taken care of. If a loved one has recently passed away and you've just inherited an IRA, check out this video right here, what to do with the RMD you now have to take from that inherited IRA. If you want me to help you with your retirement planning, go to christycapital.com and click Talk to an Advisor. I'll see you on the next video.